Ladies and gentlemen, from downtown Eastlake, right across the street from the Captain's Stadium, it's your boy, LG, with the Cleveland Sports 360 Show. Tonight's LG's guest, Bart Zeller, professional baseball coach. Without further ado, people out there in your laptops and your computer, or maybe playing with your phone, make some noise for your boy, LG.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Cleveland Sports 360 Show. It's back, it's coming, it's right around the corner. Spring is going to be here early this year. The groundhog did not see his shadow, and you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. The boys of summer have reported back to spring training. Pitchers and catchers were due to report yesterday, and some are going to continue reporting for the rest of this week. The Cleveland Indians are back out in Goodyear, Arizona, and the pitchers were on the mound throwing today, and they're going to get the rest of the guys out tomorrow to throw tomorrow from the pitching mound. But ladies and gentlemen, we got an action-packed show coming at you live tonight from the StreamingSportsTalk.com studios. Our special guest, he's been a professional baseball manager for years. You know him. He's been on the Cleveland Sports 360 show before. Mr. Bart Zeller will be joining us live all the way from California, where he is working with young guys that pay $3,500 a piece to play baseball and get some great coaching by some great coaches, guys like Bart Zeller, who's made their entire career coaching baseball. But ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, these kids are really something. They get out in this California Winter Baseball League, they start playing baseball, and some of them even break through all the way to the Major League Baseball. The couple guys got signed to some big-time contracts. Bart Zeller is the former manager of the year for the Joliet Slammers, which is a Frontier Baseball League team. If you're familiar with the west side of Cleveland, we have a Frontier Baseball League team out on the west side by Avon Lake, Elyria, and it's one of those teams that Mr. Zeller had the opportunity to beat when he took the championship in 2011. Back to baseball. We got a lot of things happening with performance-enhancing drugs. Alex Rodriguez, the Biogenesis Clinic down in Florida. There's a lot of guys on the list. It's like if you went to a house of prostitution and your name got put on the list, how do you say you didn't do it? That's what I want to know. Hey, we got Bart Zeller calling on the cell. Hey, Bart, what's happening, man? What's going on? Well, that was Bart Zeller giving us a call in. We're having a few minor difficulties with the satellite link-up. You know how it is when you're on the East Coast. Somebody's calling in from the West Coast, and we're all the way across the nation, 30-some hundred miles away. It takes you about 45 hours to drive there. Bart Zeller, I think, finally got through. The satellite link-up once in a while goes astray, and we have Bart Zeller on the phone. Bart, are you with us now? Hello, Bart.
Hello?
How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm doing okay, Larry. How are you?
Not too bad. I was telling the people out there while we were waiting to get through to you, I know you're all the way on the West Coast. Where exactly in California are you right now, Bart?
Well, I'm sitting in Palm Springs, California. They call it the Best Coast, not the West Coast, Larry.
Boy, you got it made, Bart. You got it made. So tell us a little bit about this. Tell us a little bit about this California Winter League. You're involved in coaching the youth out there. These guys pay what, $3,500 a piece to come out there and get some expert tutelage.
That's true. What they call it is it's called the California Winter League. It's for kids that really are not under contract with an affiliated ball club or with any independent ball club, and They spend from January 15th to February 15th getting instruction, as you said, and I'll kind of give you a list of some of the people. But go ahead.
Well, I was very intrigued with one particular guy I saw on the website. This Brett Anderson. He started out as a shortstop, and somehow they moved him to a pitcher. Are you familiar with this kid, Bart?
Yeah, in fact, he was on my team, the British Columbia Bombers out here. He was a 12th round draft choice in 2008 out of high school. With the Detroit Tigers, and he played 3 years in the Tiger organization. Couldn't hit.
Now, was this that shortstop, Bart?
He was a shortstop to start with.
This is what I find so intriguing about this. I mean, you guys take a shortstop, and all of a sudden
No. We didn't take him.
No, but they did.
In 2011, Larry, he started to throw.
Just out of the clear blue, he decides he's going to be a pitcher.
Well, they clocked him when he was throwing the ball across the infield, and it was from 90 to 92 miles an hour.
Right.
And so some scout, some very intelligent scout said, well, the kid's hitting $190. We gave him a lot of money. Maybe we should see if he can pitch. He started to pitch, and he had an arm problem, and he had Tommy John surgery.
Like 13 months ago, right?
Yeah, 13 months, exactly. So 13 months ago he had surgery. He came out here, got on the mound, and throwing about 85%, he was throwing 91 to 93 with little effort.
So he's even better now after the Tommy John surgery than he was before the surgery, huh?
Exactly. And he's not, Larry, he's not throwing at 100% yet. So the Rangers came out, looked at him, and they gave him a contract, signed him, gave him a bonus to sign, and he is now property of the Texas Rangers baseball team.
So now he's not any longer on Bart Zeller's team. How does that make you feel, Bart?
I love it. This is why I do what I do.
Absolutely, man. I mean, give our viewers just a little bit of insight. I gave them a little bit before we got you on the phone line, how you were with the Frontier Baseball League, the Joliet Slammers. You took them to a championship. And, I mean, how long have you been coaching these guys that aren't affiliated with Major League Baseball teams?
Well, you know, Larry, I was in one of the most hated industries in my business career, the telemarketing industry. And, you know, if you ever want a way to clear a bar so you can get up to get a drink, just tell them you're in the telemarketing business. Everybody leaves. And so after I got done and I retired from work, I had a chance to get into baseball. I was with Sioux Falls in the Northern League and the American Association in 2005 and 6. Then in 2007, 8, 9, and 10, I was with the Southern Illinois Miners down in Marion, Illinois in the Frontier League as a bench coach and a pitching coach.
And then you took to helm as the manager of the Joliet Slammers, right?
And then in 2011 and 12, I was the manager of the Slammers, and I got fired after the 2012 season because new ownership came in and wanted to put in their own people, their own guy, and so I was what you call SOL and looking for a job. And luckily enough, the Washington Wild Things, Chris Bando, who spent nine years in the big leagues, and you guys should be familiar with him because he was with the Indians way back when, gave me a call and said, I'd like to have you be my bench coach and help us to acquire players. So that's what I'm doing now. And I just got to tell you, Larry, that what makes me feel so good is all my friends who think I should be sitting on a porch on a rocking chair with a cold beer in my hand, because they say that's what you're supposed to do when you retire.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, what are you now, 71, Bart?
71, yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of life left in you, and the longer you can keep moving and stay agile, and you look like you're in damn good shape, too. And I know going out there and working with Chris Bando is going to be a hell of a good time. I told you the last time we had you on the Cleveland Sports 360 show, when you guys come to town here, you got to stop by and we'll do a show live with you right in the studio. But let's get back to this.
I promise.
Yeah, let's get back to this kid for a minute, this Brett Anderson. So you're telling me the Texas Rangers organization, they came into this California Winter League baseball, they saw this kid throw, and they signed him right on the spot?
Right on the spot. Now, I will tell you that they made him get an MRI. They paid for an MRI so that they could make sure that, because he's 3 months away from having a doctor sign off and say he's ready to pitch.
So he is going to do what now? Go to spring training with the Texas Rangers, even though he's 3 months away from getting medically cleared. And how excited was this kid to find out that he still could play Major League Baseball, Bart?
Well, not Major League. He's just getting a chance to get into affiliated, so he may go to Class A, Class AA, but he's ecstatic, Larry. I mean, it's the dream of every young man to get that chance. And here's a kid who had a chance as a shortstop, and he kind of failed at that opportunity, but he turned around. He's 6'4", 220, has a real live arm. He really works hard, and he's a great kid, and he's from Connecticut, which you wouldn't expect to produce a lot of ball players.
Well, I mean, he's got a gift. I mean, obviously this kid was throwing so hard from the shortstop position, and it's a long throw from shortstop to... I remember playing baseball when I was a kid. A lot of times certain guys were good at fielding, but they couldn't make the throw from third base to first base, so we couldn't let them play over there on third base. You know what I'm talking about, Bart?
I sure do. You know what? It always seems to be the age-old problem, someone got a great glove, no arm. Someone's got a great arm and can't catch the ball.
Right.
There's always little things or talents that kids are missing. And this kid's got it all. He really does. And I'm excited to be able to start following him and see how he's doing, because 3 months from now, we're going to be hearing some things about this kid.
Now, right across the street from our studio is the Lake County Captains Stadium, which is an affiliated, I think, single A, if I'm not mistaken, with the Cleveland Indians, Bart. So you never know. That kid could end up over here pitching one night, man. I'm going to keep my eyes and ears open.
He could, absolutely. And I'm telling you that when we get to play in Avon, Ohio at Lake Erie, I will make sure I get to Cleveland. And of course, we play every night, Larry, so somehow you and I are going to have to do a show in the afternoon or something.
Absolutely. We'll work around it. But tell me, how many other prospects like this kid came out to California to play in this Winter League? I mean, this is not the only success story. Is that correct?
That is correct. And let me tell you this, Larry. I mean, most people just have no idea. There's 140, and I repeat, 140 kids who came to Palm Springs on their own nickel, paid $3,500 to play 1 month of baseball so that they could have scouts from affiliated teams and major league teams and independent teams take a look at them. And the experience is just unbelievable. I might add to you that, although I think I do a really good job with the kids, we're lucky. We have Tim Johnson, I'm sure you remember Tim Johnson. He managed in the major leagues. He coached in the big leagues, played in the big leagues. So he's one of the instructors. The other one we have is Pete Incaviglia.
Oh, yeah. Pete? That's a name that goes way back.
Well, but they had to make a rule for Pete Incaviglia because when a team drafted him, he never played a day of minor league baseball.
Right.
He went right to the big leagues. He hit over 200 home runs, 600 RBIs, but they traded him before he even went to his first team. So they made a rule, they call it the Incaviglia rule, that says you can't trade a kid before he plays for the team that drafted him.
Well, that's a good rule, I would imagine. So, Bart,
yeah,
how How lucky are these kids to be able to get a group of guys, and I'm putting you on a pedestal a little bit, but a group of guys like you, Bart Zeller, who's been in baseball. I mean, you were a professional baseball player yourself. You're 1970, the Cardinals. You were a catcher. I mean, you played in the big leagues. You've been around this sport a long, long time. How fortunate are these kids to get the expert knowledge from guys like you?
Well, I think they're really fortunate, and I don't say that because there's 16 instructors here that have resumes like I do, but what I like about the fact is our coaches get out there at 7:30 in the morning and they leave the field at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They are willing to do everything and anything to help these kids become better.
And that's it. That's the love of the game right there, isn't it, Bart?
Absolutely. I mean, people say, "Oh, it must be nice to be out in Palm Springs." I can't tell you how nice it is because I don't know. I mean,
well, not only that, you weren't
climbing in my hotel room.
You weren't exactly freezing your ass off sitting in the Arizona desert before you went to Palm Springs, now were you, Bart?
I was not freezing my rear end off because I'm not going to use Amy's words, so I'll just say my rear end.
Right.
No, and you know what? Palm Springs gets cool at night. You may not think
absolutely,
so.
I know it does. Right. Well, we have about 20-something degrees with about a 45-mile-an-hour wind out here in Cleveland today, and it was 47 degrees yesterday. So it's playing with us a little bit. It's definitely a lot colder here than it is up there in the desert. But listen, stick with us, Bart. We got to pay a few bills. We're going to come right back. We're going to talk more baseball with Bart Zeller when we come back with more of the Cleveland Sports 360 show right after this break. Right here on StraySportsTalk.com.
His wife, his kids are what he did, although his death was unexpected. When will you begin to accept it? And if it isn't too much to ask, at an awful time like this, how did he die? I didn't know him, but I miss him already. How did he die? Inquiring minds and prying eyes, they want to know. You'll never be a real person to me. A line of text in the obituary, and it's not that I don't care, but a sudden curiosity pricked my ear, and the secrecy.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Our special guest this evening, Mr. Bart Zeller, a professional baseball manager who is all the way out in Palm Springs, California, working with these kids in the California Winter League. Bart, did you make it all the way through the break okay?
I sure did. I was just sitting there saying, "Gee, I hope they didn't decide to just get rid of me."
No, we would never do that to a gentleman like yourself, Bart. Hey, Bart, let's go into the next segment of the Cleveland Sports 360 show. I know I talked to you just a short time on the phone yesterday afternoon, but I think that this has a place in your life, and I want to know these PEDs, these performance-enhancing drugs that are, I don't want to use the word taking over baseball, but they certainly seem to be showing their ugly heads every once in a while in the game of baseball. How do you guys tell these kids about something like these performance-enhancing drugs? Is this something that you also try to coach the youth on today?
Yes, the answer is definitely yes. Even in independent baseball, Larry, we test our kids 3-4 times a year. We try to make sure they know that it's their responsibility to know what the prohibited substances are. And listen, these kids love to work out, lift weights. They love to take protein shakes and supplements and all that stuff. But as we always tell them, you've got to read what the hell you're putting inside your body.
Now, Bart, let's talk about that for a second. Even in the level of baseball that you're coaching in, do you guys give all these players some sort of a list? Does this list mimic what Major League Baseball has? I mean, how do you come up with what's a banned substance and what's not a banned substance?
Well, that's a good question. Yes, we do. We sort of echo Major League Baseball's list of prohibited substances, the PEDs, as you call them, and these kids know that what things they're allowed to do and what they're not. And, you know, I mean, what I try to do is educate the kids more on why in the hell would you do this?
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like anymore where you can mask all this stuff and hide it. They're out there today with tests that will detect almost everything.
Absolutely.
Why would you screw up your career for doing something that isn't going to help you?
Excuse me. Bart, when it comes to testing these kids, is this just a random drug test? I mean, you said you could test them up to 3 or 4 times a year. Is this random? I mean, all the out of clear blue say, Brett, today you're going to give us a sample. Is that how that works?
That is exactly how it works. And they take 5, 6, 7 kids on every roster, random sample, and test them. Major League Baseball now and minor league baseball is doing blood tests now.
Right.
And, I mean,
right. I was just agreeing with you that they do it.
Oh, okay. If kids know that they are really going to that extent, testing, taking blood, then their kids are really stupid because, 10 years ago you heard, I felt the pressure and I had to perform and I had to stay up with all my peers and they were doing it. Anymore, you can't get by with that. You've just got to get by on your own ability.
Absolutely. Now, Bart, let's talk about your own ability for a minute. Obviously, when you came into the Major League Baseball, it was 1970, okay? Was there a problem at that time with performance-enhancing drugs? Were people using steroids? Did you even hear of it?
No. What the worst thing that we did, Larry, and when I was in the minor leagues, we had what they called bennies, Benzedrine, and they were little green pills, greenies. And, if you had a bad day, you were feeling bad, you needed a little lift, it probably was nothing more than caffeine, probably.
Right.
You might take one of those, and it was like an aspirin, and you felt a little bit better, but that was it. I mean, when I played, weightlifting was something that was thought of as not an assistance to athletes, but a hindrance.
Right.
And so they told people, don't lift weights, don't do this, don't build your body up. And, of course, today it's just the opposite. Kids are lifting weights and doing more weightlifting than ever before.
Well, one thing that's come a long way, and I think you'll agree with this, Bart, is the training of the athlete today. I mean, there are certain weightlifting exercises that baseball players should do that may be a little bit different than what golfers do, and are far, far different from what football players do, because you guys got to stay agile and be able to at least get the bat back into position to make contact with the baseball if you build your upper body. So what I'm saying is the training itself, the science behind the training today is second to none as far as I'm concerned.
You're absolutely right. And Larry, you know as well as I do, every major league team has what they call a strength and conditioning coach.
Right.
A person that strictly takes care of the conditioning programs for the players in season and out of season. We're going to talk a little bit about spring training later, but I don't want to get into that. But so it's a whole new world that these kids are involved in because they lift weights in season, but they use dumbbells, they use core exercises, they strengthen their core. Physiologists have found out that the core is probably the most important part of a person's body so that they can perform and play baseball. And with baseball, you have to have flexibility, you have to have the ability to have endurance, but you have to have body tone.
Right.
And so you get that by specific exercises as opposed to just pounding the metal.
Now, let's talk about the testing again, Bart. say you have a guy under contract, and I don't remember exactly how it worked when you were the manager at Joliet, but those guys could only stick around for a certain amount of time. Wasn't that correct?
Yeah, like in the Frontier League, Larry,
Right.
we have an age limit of 27. If you're 27 years old by January 1st, you're unable to play in the Frontier League.
So is it possible to have?
Other leagues, go ahead.
Is it possible to have the same guy on your team 2 years in a row, though?
Definitely. 2
Yeah.
years, 3 years would be max.
Okay.
And then you want him to move on or move out, because if he hasn't moved on to a higher league or an affiliated league, chances are the writing's on the wall and he's have to go to work for a living.
Right. Now, my question is, during the off season, is there mandatory drug tests?
In the off season,
Right.
no.
Okay. What about Major League Baseball, Bart? Is there any mandatory drug tests when you got a guy under contract? Let's say he's making $275 million and it's the off season. Is there mandatory drug tests during the off season in Major League Baseball?
Well, the word mandatory, I'm sure that most organizations are doing more testing than ever before on their players to make sure that when the season starts, there are no surprises.
Right. Right.
And even so, last year there were surprises in major leagues where players like Manny Ramirez and stuff had to sit out 50 games because they got caught.
Yeah, because what I'm getting at here is I think even in football, professional NFL football, they can show up at your house at any given moment and say, hey, we need a urine sample from you. It could be the off season as long as you're under contract. So I was saying there's really no excuse for these professional athletes to be using these substances and then think that they can do it because it's the off season, and by the time the on season comes or the season starts, that they're going to get away with it. You know what I'm getting at, Bart?
Absolutely. And Larry, it's almost like when we were in school, the kids that would draw up all these cheat sheets and spend all their time trying to have all the pieces of paper with all the answers and things like that. It's like if they would spend that time studying, they would do a hell of a lot better in their test. And it's the same thing with the athletes. If the athletes would spend more time training the right way, doing the right things, taking care of their bodies, they're going to be head and shoulders above the guys that are doing the cheating, because everybody's not cheating anymore. It used to be, but not anymore.
Now, Bart, when you were playing baseball in 1970, what was the oldest guy you could remember being an active Major League Baseball player on your team?
Oh, gosh, I'm going to say mid to late 30s. Some of the guys, played. I mean, I played, Larry, I signed in 1963 and stopped playing in 71.
Right.
And so, I mean, we had some guys in the minor leagues that might have been, but hell, man, when I was 30 years old and I was still playing baseball, that was old.
So it's not really, you really can't use a defense like the longevity of using these substances. You're not doing it really to gain that much more longevity, because you had some mid to late 30 players way back in the 60s even playing baseball.
Sure.
So,
sure. I mean, I don't know that we had anybody like Giambi, who the Cleveland Indians signed.
Yeah, we're going to get into that pretty soon, too. That's kind of funny.
We'll get into that in a minute. He's 40 years old.
42. 42.
42.
I'll be surprised if he can run to first base. And Kenyon was telling me before the show started tonight, hey, when you're the DH, you shouldn't have to run to first base because you're supposed to get a double or a home run. And I said, I wish it worked that way every time those guys went up to the plate. But we just had a $13 million man in Travis Hafner here last year that he literally had to run to first base more often than not. So,
Sure.
And then I hear he's going to sign with the New York Yankees now. So that's another guy. And I think he was a one-timer, if I'm not mistaken, tested positive for a few banned substances.
Sure.
So back to what I was saying. You really can't say that these guys need to do these substances that are banned by Major League Baseball to try to extend their career, right?
No, I don't believe that at all. You're right. You are 100% correct. I've argued with that till I'm blue in the face with some of the ball players that I meet and everything. And, 10 years ago, as I said, people said, "Oh, I have to do it to keep up." Anymore, you don't have to do it to keep up because it's getting to be cleaner and cleaner in Major League Baseball and minor league baseball.
Yeah, and even going into a guy like you in the Frontier League, knowing that there's testing going on, I think pretty soon they ought to even make sure it goes into the high schools, Bart, because I've heard of cases in high school sports where some of these guys were tempted to try some of these substances.
Well, I don't doubt that. I know that the NCAA has a list of banned substances and that the kids are not allowed to use. And I say at the high school level, it gets to be a parent's responsibility,
right?
Not the coach's responsibility. I mean, the parents know what the kid's taking at home and what he's drinking at home, and so that's where that kind of responsibility lies. But when you get out to college and the professional ranks, then you have a different story.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Bart Zeller all the way from California. He's working in the California Winter League. It's doing a marvelous job coaching the youth of baseball. We're going to take a short break, pay some more bills. Bart's going to stay on the line for a couple of minutes, and when we come back, we're going to talk spring training, pitchers and catchers, something Bart Zeller really knows a lot about, being a former Major League Baseball catcher himself. Stick around for more of the Cleveland Sports 360 show right here on StreamingSportsTalk.com. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Our special guest this evening on the show is Bart Zeller, all the way from California, working with the California Winter League. If you're just catching the show now, we talked about this California Winter League, how these guys pay $3,500 per player to go out there on their own nickel and play. They're looked at by all kinds of major league organizations, and Bart's been good enough to go out there and coach with 16 other professional coaches. We talked about controlled substances, banned substances, when the testing starts, and now we're going to get into spring training. The pitchers and the catchers are reporting this week. Bart, what was it like to get back to baseball when you went to spring training?
Well, when I lived in Chicago, because it was always wintertime when we went to spring training, going down to St. Petersburg, Florida was always something you look forward to. But the big difference in spring training today as it exists versus then, players used to go down to spring training to get in shape.
Right.
There was no workouts in the wintertime. Players didn't spend all that time throwing in the cages. They didn't have cages. They didn't have big workout domes and everything. Most ball players in professional baseball, when I was playing, they had to have a job in order to make a living.
Right.
So they worked at gas stations. They worked at different jobs so that they could put a little money aside so that when the season started, they'd be able to go down there. So when we went down to
pay your own way?
guys went down there to get in shape.
Did you have to pay your own way to spring training?
Huh?
Did you guys pay your own way to spring training?
No, they used to give us travel, like, round-trip airfare, or one-way airfare. But then they would put us up at some flea bag hotel and put two, three guys in the room and feed you a little bit. But, I mean, you know, it was dog eat dog, Larry. Spring training. I remember my first spring training. I think we had 250 ball players for about 8 teams, and I never was exposed to players getting released and sent home than I was. So it was a rude awakening for me, let me tell you.
You know, that's the thing, too, Bart. People don't realize, because of the evolution of inflation or whatever you want to bill it to, the money difference from the time you played baseball until now. I mean, take a guy like Alex Rodriguez. He signed a $275 million contract with the New York Yankees. Did you ever fathom there'd be a day when a major league ball player was going to take a contract home worth $275 million?
Never. Never in my wildest imagination would we ever think that would happen. In fact, I remember when we were playing, Jose Canseco, they had one of his checks, and I mean, it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we were in awe of looking at an amount like that and thinking, oh my God, what would we do if we ever had that kind of money? So, no, we never thought that.
You know, it's funny you bring up Jose Canseco. Believe it or not, he was tweeting to the Cleveland Indians front office guys today. He's going, hey, how about giving me a look? You're giving Giambi a look. You know, he's 42 years old, and Canseco swears he's ready to get back into Major League Baseball. What do you think of that, Bart?
Well, I think he's trying to sell himself. I'm trying to think he's trying to sell his book. I think he's trying to publicize himself. Jose Canseco is probably a player that told more truth about what was going on in baseball than anybody, but as far as going out there and turning around a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, he might have done it in the Yuma, Arizona League, but he's not going to do it in the major leagues.
No, his better days have come and gone. But
Yep.
back to spring training. In today's age, it's no more going down there and getting in shape. You better be be in some sort of shape when you arrive to spring training nowadays. Is that right, Bart?
No doubt about it. And some of my most fun times, Larry, when I get back to Arizona, spring training will be starting up. I take the day, and I'll visit 2 spring training sites each day, and probably 8 days, I'll hit 16 of them. And people say, why do you do that? I say, because I learn, because I go and visit and learn the new drills, the new things they're talking about, the new things they're teaching. And one of my favorites is to go visit Mike Scioscia at the Los Angeles Angels, because he's probably one of the most innovative managers that there is. And if I can bore you to death, I remember him talking to his team, and he said, listen, the book says you never get thrown out at third base first or third out of an inning. Well, anybody who wrote that book is stupid, because I want you guys going from first to third every time you can, and I will never get mad at you for doing that. He said, I went first to third as a team 114 times the previous year, and that's why we won the pennant.
Absolutely.
I
you
mean,
got to get there.
Mike Scioscia teaches the game of baseball, even though all these guys know how to play it.
Right. Well, you got to get there before you're going to get home. But let me ask you, man, do you get a chance to get to the Goodyear Park to see the Cleveland Indians in spring training at all?
Well, I definitely will this year, because of the fact that one of my very, very good friends, Jim Riggleman, happens to be with the Reds, and that's the sister team to the Cleveland Indians.
Right. So you and Jim are going to get together, and we talked to Joe, I think, on the last time we had you on the show. I think later on we did have Jim Riggleman in the show later on that evening. Yeah, he's excited about that Reds organization. I'm not too excited about the Reds organization. I want to see the Cleveland Indians organization do something a little bit this year, especially with Francona at the helm. I mean, what kind of an advantage do you think that? I mean, it's definitely got to be a different feel for the Cleveland Indians going to spring training with a Terry Francona at the helm than a Manny Acta. What's your thought about that, Bart?
Well, I mean, first of all, most people have never taken the time to look at Terry Francona's record. I mean, here's a man who had 740 wins, 500 and some losses, 575 winning percentage with the Boston Red Sox. 2 pennants, two World Series. In one, I think it was 4 or 5 years, he won over 95 games as a manager. He's got 1,000 wins, which is so rare today in Major League Baseball as a manager. So when people start to tell me, well, he let his guys drink beer, he let them eat sandwiches or whatever, to me that's malarkey. That's bullcrap. Because Terry Francona didn't allow it. They might have done it, but he did not allow that to happen. I think Boston was looking for a way to use him as a scapegoat because he blew. I think he went 7-20 the last month of the season, lost the wild card spot, and they were out of the playoffs. And Boston was irritated and pissed, so they didn't renew his contract.
And especially
he is a baseball man.
Absolutely,
he's a great baseball man. Cleveland will love this guy.
And I think the love is already starting to show up for this guy just by some of the players that are coming to the Cleveland Indians organization because I think Terry Francona is here. Now, what's really, we might as well just go right in because spring training's here, and the Indians signed a lot of minor league contracts this past weekend, Bart, to get these guys to come to spring training. One of them was Jason Giambi, a 42-year-old guy. I don't think you're going to get a Jason Giambi to sign with the Cleveland Indians if Terry Francona wasn't the manager. What's your thought on that?
Well, I would agree with you 100%. And who knows what the conversation between Francona and Giambi went. But I've got to believe that it was, listen, this is a good place for you to play. If you can crack the 40-man roster when you get out of spring training, we'll make it more than lucrative for you. My biggest problem with Giambi is he played last year with Colorado, probably only had 90 at-bats.
Right, he was only a part-time player, though, in the last 3 years, isn't that right?
That's my point, because there's no designated hitter
in the National League. Right.
So he couldn't play every day. He's past his prime. Sure, he's going to hit some mammoth shots, but in the long run, I don't know what good he's going to do for that kind of a ball club. So my guess is, who knows, it may have been a publicity thing to get a big name, but you said something very important, that he could have probably gone to other teams, but he chose Cleveland because he realizes Francona's a good baseball guy and he's going to get his chance there.
Now, speaking of that, we got another guy that's coming to the Cleveland Indians. Terry Francona has what he's thinking is one starting spot on his rotation left, and it looks like it could go up to grabs for Dice K coming in and signing at 32 years old. They signed him to a minor league deal. How huge would a Dice K be if this guy still has what it takes to win? I mean, he helped out the Cleveland Indians in the Game 7 one time. I mean, what's your thoughts? Would we get a Dice K if we didn't have a Terry Francona?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, now there's an association because, of course, he played with Francona in Boston.
Right.
But this guy's only 32 years old.
Right.
Who's going to say that a guy 32 can't come out and have good season for him? I mean, they're rolling the dice with him, but at the same time, they know what they're going to get with him, and I think they've made it pretty lucrative that if he makes the roster and he can earn a lot of money and stuff like that. But I think Francona likes to have him around because he must recognize that Dice K has good work ethic. He works hard. He's probably one of the best conditioned pitchers out there. So that's the kind of a guy he wants on this team so that everybody will take note that that's what we want.
Well, it'll be exciting if we can get a great starting rotation. One of my biggest fears coming into this season for the Cleveland Indians anyways was our starting rotation took a hell of a beating last year, Bart. And we were down to...
Yeah, but you've got Masterson, Jimenez, Myers, McAllister. I mean, they're not a bunch of rummies. They all had fairly decent numbers, Larry, and what they've got to do, and the age-old problem, they've got to throw more strikes and not walk as many people.
Right. I think Jimenez is just about on the bubble. I think Ubaldo Jimenez, and I thought last year was going to be his season, and he did show signs of greatness at times last year. If this guy can just get over that hump, I mean, he's right on the tip. He's on the tangent, as I'd like to call it. Either way, he can go over that hill, and if he can get over that hill, I think you got an unstoppable guy. I mean, he was on fire every time he pitched against the Detroit Tigers last year.
Sure.
So
there's no doubt that he's got really good stuff. And if you look up the middle of your team, I mean, you've got Santana behind the plate, who I think is a really, really good ball player. 18 home runs and 75 RBIs. Brantley in center field, again, 285, 290 hitter. So you are really, really strong up the middle. The one negative I see of their offense and I did my homework today, so you'll know this, is got a lot of guys that strike out a lot.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Well, I mean, and then of course they made things worse by picking up Mark Reynolds, who has struck out over 1,000 times in the last 5 years. So, I mean, what does Francona see in this guy to he thinks he's going to change his ways? Baltimore tried it. It didn't work. Arizona tried it. It didn't work. Yes, he hits a lot of home runs, but boy, he strikes out an awful lot.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Bart. We got a couple of guys that do strike out a lot, and I mean, we picked up Micah Vale for he can either play second base or shortstop. So you got Jason Kipnis. Kipnis goes in and out of hitting as well. He's had a couple of times where he got into this slump right after the All-Star break last year. If this Kipnis ever becomes a consistent hitter, he's going to be unstoppable. You got his Drupal Cabrera. I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to give him more rest this year and have Avila go over there and play shortstop. I don't know. But if these guys can all get it together at a certain time, it just seemed like the air went right out of the balloon. It happened 2 years in a row, Bart, right after the All-Star break. Can we cancel the All-Star break this season? That's my question.
Well, I mean, I think you will be able to, and I think Francona will make sure that he rests the guys. I mean, I think one of your voids right now is still first base, third base, corners. The answer certainly wasn't Koch. Was it Kochman or whatever his name was?
Well, I tell you, he was one heck of a defensive first baseman, and I mean, he hit damn near 300 in Florida, and then he comes up here, and all of a sudden he was still a great defensive first baseman. He, believe it or not, as many games as we lost last season, Kochman was able to stop it from. It could have escalated a lot worse without some of his great defense on the field. The guy was almost a Golden Glove first baseman, but something happened to his bat when he got here in Cleveland.
Yeah, you can't have a first baseman hitting $2 and a quarter anymore.
No, you can't.
Just doesn't work.
And then the same thing happened at third base.
You got a guy like Kipnis. You got a guy Cabrera, 260, 275 hitter. I mean, that's pretty good in the middle of your lineup. Both of them hit double-digit home runs, so there's no doubt that these guys can make contact. It's just the fact that if they would put the ball in play a little bit more often, work on cutting down their strikeouts, that no doubt their average is going to go up.
And with a Francona running the team, I like to say this. I liked Maniac. He's a nice, personable guy. I had the opportunity to talk to him a couple of different times. He's a very nice guy, but I think he was too nice, Bart. I mean, I said to some of the players, one time I was talking to Vinny Pistano on the Cleveland Sports 360 show, I said, Vinny, do they give this guy tranquilizers before every game? I mean, I think you're going to see more fire come out of a Francona than you did coming out of Maniacta. Yeah, he was just too laid back, Bart.
Well, I think that there's no doubt. But there's different kinds of managers. Not everybody's an Earl Weaver. Sometimes Joe Torre, they said, well, my God, Joe Torre never shows any emotion. But Joe Torre showed emotion in the clubhouse, showed it on the field before the games. But during the game, he turned the game over to his kids. And that's what most people don't understand, Larry, about the game of baseball is when the game starts, that's where you as a coach, manager, you have to let the kids take charge of the ball game. You can't overmanage. You can't try to do everything for them because it doesn't work. And that's the way I think Francona manages. Now, he's going to be feisty with umpires. He's going to get out there and yell and scream and holler, and fans are going to like that. But the players are going to like to play for him because he won't embarrass them or throw them under the bus after a game. He knows how to handle that, and he does it in private, and that's the best way to do it.
And the same thing can be said for Maniacta. I don't believe he threw any of the players under the bus during his time here. He was a class act, there was no doubt about it. But there was a couple of times, Bart, where I think the fuse could have been lit if Manny would have showed a little bit of fire. Because, as you just said, with Francona coming out there and maybe arguing with the umpire a little bit, there was times where it was a clear, blatant call by the umpire where Manny didn't even come out of the top step of the dugout.
Sure.
And you know, that can rally your guys a little bit, man, when you see that fire coming out of your ears, and you know, then you get psyched up as a player, too, because you're like, this guy's going to come out here and fight for us. We better get back behind that plate and fight for him when we're swinging this baseball bat, too. It works both ways, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And to me, the most important thing, and I think that Terry will really solidify this group of young guys, whoever the chosen 25 are, is it's all about chemistry. It's all about getting the 25 guys to start believing that they can accomplish the goal, they can accomplish what they're set out to do. They back one another. If a guy makes a mistake, nobody jumps all over him, but they try to pick the guy up because, you know, baseball, it's a horrible game when you make a mistake. There's nowhere to hide.
Mm-hmm.
If you drop a pop-up, if you drop a ground ball, 40,000, 50,000 people are watching you and looking at you. No one feels worse than the guy that dropped it. So if somebody yells at the guy, it makes it worse. So the best thing is pick the guy up, make him feel good. Come on, we'll get him next time. You get the next one, turn a double play, and you get through that. So chemistry is something that I think Francona will really, really work on hard.
And then if you pick the right 25 guys, and you do have a good team of guys out there that's going to give 100% every day, Bart, I think that's going to build the right chemistry, too. Last year, you know, we started out, we thought Grady Sizemore was going to be our center fielder, Aguirre, and Aguirre, he missed the entire season, man, after signing a $5 million deal to come back with the Cleveland Indians. So, you know, we had to take Brantley and move him over. We brought Johnny Damon up, the old guy. He did pretty damn good for the first half, considering his age, you know. But let's get back to the desert for a minute. I might have missed this. Do you guys have a desert baseball tournament coming up? Is that something that you're involved with this Winter League, Bart, like February 15th to the 18th?
That's not us. That's a college tournament that they've got going on after we get out of here.
Okay, so when you vacate the premises, then the college takes over and starts playing the tournament. Okay, because I saw it on the Winter League site, and I didn't want to bypass that. So
no, that's okay.
So what do you think? Like when we went through the World Series, we went through the playoffs. Were you kind of surprised the San Francisco Giants went all the way after they struggled a little bit in the early going with Cincinnati? I mean, what's your thoughts on the Giants?
Sure. I was not surprised that Cincinnati folded because it's notorious for Dusty's teams to kind of do something like that. So, I mean, I wasn't shocked, but I do believe that Bochy really knows how to get players involved. The chemistry gets the players to start believing in themselves. Lincecum, here's a guy who flat out had not the kind of a year you want him to have, puts him in the bullpen, and kid comes back and does a great job because he does whatever he has to do to help the team.
Yeah, man, I was very shocked how these Giants pulled it together, and then, you know, they went all the way. I mean, I didn't think it could happen, especially being down to Cincinnati, and like you said, unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like the Reds are the only team in Ohio that has a tendency to fold. I think it happens just to teams in Ohio, and unfortunately, I hate to say that. Although our Buckeyes were undefeated in football.
It all starts with pitching and defense, Larry, and if you look at the pitching staff, with the Giants, they've got some legit starting pitchers, and I love Matt Cain. I just love when he gets on the mound. Boy, kids can watch how this kid throws. He doesn't back away from anything. He comes right after the hitters and says, "Here, strength against strength, and this is what I've got. If you hit me, you hit me, but I'm not backing down.
Well, let me ask you another question. I know it's early. We're just starting the pitchers and the catchers reporting. Do you have any favorites this year in the Major League Baseball, Bart?
You know what? I haven't been close enough to be watching the deals and who's moving where. I mean, I think that in the American League, I think that the White Sox, Ventura started to put a team together that really did pretty well. Another year of seasoning might really help them. National League, St. Louis, my alma mater, they seem to just keep like the ever-ready bunny. They just keep on going and keep on moving. So,
absolutely.
But there will be surprises, and that's what's fun about baseball. And I'm going to say something because you didn't ask me, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The thing that I love about baseball, as compared to football and every other sport, is there's no such thing as a profile of what a good ball player looks like. I mean, you can be tall, you can be short, you can be heavy, you can be skinny. As long as you can play the game and do well, there's going to be a spot for you. In golf, it's the same thing. Golf and baseball are probably two of the few sports where physical stature doesn't really make a big difference.
Right.
If you can play the game, you can play the game.
I agree with
that's what I
that.
love about baseball.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, let's just touch on this one more time before we got 5 minutes or 4 minutes left here tonight. If you had something to say...
Have I bored you tonight, Larry?
Absolutely not. I thought this was a fantastic show. Fantastic.
All right, thank you.
And,
I appreciate that.
I mean, you're a very knowledgeable guy, and nobody knows more about baseball in this room right now than you, Bart Zeller. But let me ask you this. If you had to say this to any kid coming up playing the game of baseball, do you think performance-enhancing drugs is pure outright cheating?
Yes.
There's no black area there. No gray area.
I'm not wavering on that. I would tell every young kid 10 years to 16 years old that the way you get better is to catch 100 ground balls a day, get in the cage and swing the bat, strengthen yourself, take care of your body, get enough rest and sleep, eat the right things, build your body as you're getting older, because that's the way you're going to get better. You're not going to get better by trying to beat the system, because the system will beat you.
Now, a guy like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, do they belong in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Unfortunately, yes, definitely.
How about Pete Rose?
Yes, oh my God, Pete Rose for sure.
I definitely think Pete Rose deserves a shot at the Baseball Hall of Fame. He certainly didn't cheat by using these drugs to play baseball. So,
Larry, I want to tell you, Roger Clemens came down and addressed 140 players to the California Winter League, and I thought it was one of the best presentations I've ever heard a former major leaguer give. Because what he talked about was the mental approach to playing the game of baseball, and he talked for 30 minutes about just the mental approach, how you have to believe in yourself, how you have to feel that you are better than other people. You have to be confident but not cocky. I mean, I thought he did just a great job, and, they didn't get into the drugs and the performance-enhancing stuff. They talked about the game and what he tried to do when he was on the mound. So
he did it, too.
I think they all belong in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Roger Clemens was a fantastic pitcher, and, I mean, the longevity of his career was stunning. But I got to tell you, if you look at what happened to a guy like Roger Clemens and what he went through with the United States Congress, you would think these guys making $275 million contracts, Bart, wouldn't even want to get involved with these kind of drugs or steroids or anything like that, you know?
You're right. You're absolutely right. I can't argue with you at all.
You got a guy like A-Rod. He's got $114 million still on the line. He's 37 years old. He got his hip reoperated on, and patched up and all that sort of thing. He's in rehab now, and the Yankees are trying to do whatever they can to get out of that $114 million contract. Is it worth it, Bart Zeller, to do cheating and try to get away with it in baseball?
No, it's not worth it. And back in 2009, A-Rod admitted, hey, I took him from 2001 to 2004, but the mistake he made, he said, when I was with the Yankees, I was clean.
Right,
And
that's what he
now
said.
they're all going to try to prove him wrong. And all I say is, hey, guys, sit back and wait and let the facts dictate.
Well,
Just like what happened to Lance Armstrong. I used to think Lance Armstrong was squeaky clean. I found out he wasn't. He just cheated like everybody else. But until they get the goods on A-Rod, don't throw him under the bus. Don't kick him out. Give the guy a chance to defend himself, and then make your own decision.
Well, the funny thing is, this A-Rod was trying to use all the forgery defense lately, and his teammates kind of blew that right out of the water when that Francisco said that he really went down there and got a consultation with biogenesis. So, you know what? My name's not on that list, Bart. You know why? I never got involved with that clinic, and I bet your name's not on that list. So the best thing you could tell these youngsters is stay the hell away from this stuff, right?
Stay the hell away from it. You don't need it. There's natural ways to get better. There's natural ways to improve your skills, and no substitute but hard work, and that's what makes you get better.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. Tell everybody, Bart Zeller, where is Bart Zeller going when he leaves the California desert?
Well, I'm going to go to Scottsdale, get ready to go to Washington, Pennsylvania to be the bench coach for Chris Bando for the Frontier League season, and really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting all the people in Washington, PA, Larry, and I can't wait to get to Lake Erie so that I will be able to sit down face-to-face with you and have a Coke and have some laughs.
I'm looking forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, Bart Zeller, a great gentleman. He knows baseball. We've had him on the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Bart, I can't thank you enough. Don't forget, you can find Bart Zeller on Facebook. Just look up Bart Zeller. Like his page, send him a friend request. He's a great guy. Have a great evening, Bart. Thanks for spending the hour with me, and God bless you, man. Best of luck to you out there with the Washington, Pennsylvania, and bring us home a winner there for Chris Bando.
God bless you, and thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir. Good to talk to you.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, there he was, Bart Zeller. This guy knows baseball. He was good enough to join us for the complete hour here on the Cleveland Sports 360 show, right here at StreamingSportsTalk.com. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, next week, ladies and gentlemen, we got a blockbuster Cleveland Sports 360 show next Monday night. You certainly don't want to miss this. We got some big-time talent coming in from women's professional football, a guy that knows how to coach women's football. We're going to blow the whole off. LFL, whatever you want to call it. Lingerie Football League, Legends Football League. You know what, Kenyon? You put a lipstick on a pig. What do you still got a pig, right?
Still got a pig.
We'll see you next week. God bless you. Have a great night, ladies and gentlemen.